it's Mike with TechBB, and I was at the field this weekend, and I believe I had done this video, probably about a year and a half ago about spiders or blowbacks and the striker O-ring, but I was at the field this weekend and I saw a player that was having problems with his spider, and I figured, now's a good time to put this video out there, because last I checked in the statistics of paintball, 1 out of every 3 players started out with a spider. Now, maybe that's not the case anymore, but spiders and especially now that the Zodon's coming on the market now, and these blowback style markers are extremely popular. And there's one critical problem, one critical error that a lot of people or a lot of spider clone owners do with their markers. So what I'm going to do here is I want to bring the camera in a little bit closer, and I want to show this mistake that a lot of players make, and hopefully this will help prevent a pretty aggravating day at the field. Okay, now what I'm going to show you is quickly how to take apart a spider, which is very simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the bolt out, and here's what a lot of players tend to do, is they'll unscrew, let's say for instance they have a problem with the striker O-ring, which is probably the most common part to break or get damaged on a marker. And now let's go ahead and pull the striker out. Okay, now the striker's out, and what will happen is a lot of players will take a look and notice that the O-ring is damaged. So they'll pop the O-ring off, they'll put a new one on there, they'll put some lube on it, and then here's the critical part. This is when players make the biggest mistake with spiders or blowbacks. What they'll do is they'll now take this, shove it back into their gun with a squeegee, and pull the trigger, and then they wonder why the gun is doing exactly what it was doing before. Well, let me show you what happens. The reason why they have to pull the trigger is because inside of the marker is the sear, okay? Inside of the marker there is a sear. As you can see here, this is a very high angle cut piece of aluminum. This thing, it's not necessarily a knife blade, but it's very sharp, very sharp. What happens is when they shove the striker back in, the sear catches and re-damages the O-ring, so their gun farts again, or it burps. So when they pull the trigger, it's like brrrt, 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 like it's out of air, even though it still has plenty of air. You can't do that with these type of guns, with like the Zodon Chaos. You can't do that. What you have to do is the safest thing you can do is remove your trigger frame before you slide out the striker and slide it back into the marker. Now there are some markers that are on the market that have a thumb, kind of a thumb thing here where you push it down and it pushes the sear down to give it enough room for the striker O-ring to go past without getting cut. But this is the biggest mistake that most blowback owners will do, is when they shove the striker back into the marker with the squeegee, is it hits and pinches and slices the O-ring, and then they pull the trigger, which drops it down, which slices it to shove the striker back into the gun. Don't do that. What you want to do, remove the trigger frame completely off of the marker, replace the O-ring, lube it up. You can use whatever you want, gun oil. If you don't have any gun oil, it seems that people tend to play paintball in areas where there's absolutely no gun oil or any sort of lubricant. You can use things such as olive oil. You can also use things such as baby oil. In a worst case scenario, I would highly recommend getting something like Dal 33 or Dal 55. Definitely going to make, get some sort of paintball gun lubricant, actual real lubricant that's designed for paintball markers. But in a worst case scenario, you can use olive oil. In a worst case scenario, you can use baby oil. It's fine. So I pushed the striker back into the marker. Let's go ahead and put on the Zodon Chaos grip frame. Now some markers you're going to have to remove both screws. The Zodon does a great job. You can just slide it off without completely having to remove it. We'll tighten this down. But I see players do that all the time. They'll go into their O-ring repair kit. They'll have one last O-ring. They'll stick it on their striker, use the swab, shove it back through the gun, re-damage it. and then the marker's back to shooting exactly how it did before. Let's go ahead and straighten this striker out. There we go, and down this goes. Oops, let's line this back up properly. There we go. There it goes. And then now, you know, you can shoot it without any problem. So hopefully this helps solve a lot of the striker problems on spiders, spider clones, the Zodins, even like the PMI Piranha also has that problem too, people shoving it through the back. So hopefully that answers a lot of questions. Hopefully it gets a lot of these spiders out of the garage or out of the closet and back on the field again. Thanks for tuning in.